Hello, my lovely little Weezettes and Weasels, I guess. I am your lovely host, well, Papa Weasel or Gaming Weasel, and in today's video, Dagath, the 54th Warframe in the game, and we're going to make her invincible inside a steel path, one of the best damage buffing Warframes for your weapons in the game, almost on par with Hero, at least in my opinion, even though Hero's not the best, but I love him. There's a special place in my heart for that Warframe, and just basically make her tear through steel path with only one change. And this ability was actually recommended to me by one of my viewers on my live stream when I was testing her out. I kind of forgot the name because I'm incredibly bad with names, but if you find yourself, leave it in the comment section below, and nonetheless, thank you so much for this recommendation. Let's start off with the build now. With the passive, this grants you a 35% chance to activate Abundant Abyss. When picking up a health and or energy orb, you have a chance of increasing it by 300%. It is a flat 300%, this cannot be changed of course, it is her passive. There is no cooldown on this ability, so keep that in mind. You can pick up as many energy and health orbs, and you can get this activated every single time. There is a flat 35% chance, but if you have a Necros, if you have Equilibrium, and if you have this one beautiful ability that we're going to show you today on your Warframe, you are invincible. You have infinite amounts of health orbs and energy, so that is amazing. So what does this passive basically mean? Let's say you pick up an health orb, it gives you 50 health. This procs, Abundant Abyss procs, and then you get an increase of 300%. That is gonna total you out plus 150, and in basic terms, 200 health. So 50 plus 150, there you go. Basic maths. With Wyrd Sythe, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, her first ability, slows down enemies, has an auto target radius of 40 meters, infinite punch through, a maximum of 7 sickles, and viral damage. You can slow down enemies a maximum of 95%. This will make them basically not moving. So basically this is like Gloom, but without the health, and that's basically it. Now, Wyrd Sythe pairs incredibly good with Doom, her second ability. This condemns enemies, and the portion of damage that Dagath deals is revisited by Wyrd Sythe, and this also you get the viral damage. Now, the damage redirection is based upon your power strength. So if you have power strength up to a certain point, I'm not exactly sure what the number is, but with this build you do not have to worry about that. You can basically do all of the damage that you did to the enemy 100% once more. So you're gonna be doing, let's say, do 10,000 damage, you activate and I guess put the Doom on an enemy, Wyrd Sythe, and you're basically going to be doing 10,000 damage all over again, and they're also going to suffer from viral. Now this is a cone ability, so keep that in mind, but if you cast the Doom on an enemy, let's say not all of them, if you activate Wyrd Sythe's, your first ability, it will spread the affliction further, which is also dependent on your power range, or your Warframe's range in total. Grave Spirit. Now, this is the ability that is going to increase your damage by a lot. First of all, when you die in this form, well, you do not die actually in this form, you actually sort of get rebirth into a phantom form, and inside of this phantom form, you have a 100% dodge chance, so you're basically invincible, nothing can kill you. The time is dependent on your duration, so it doesn't really matter. There is a 25-second cooldown, which you don't really matter because you're going to be staying alive throughout all of it anyway, you just have to be a little bit careful, and you have a 100% chance of health orbs dropping per kill inside of the spectral form. So this is a really good ability, but we also have additional critical damage bonus. It doesn't matter, it's not in your phantom form, so it's just in your base form, and a Doom critical damage bonus as well. So if an enemy is affected by Doom, you're going to be doing even more critical damage. Now, you have basically every single ingredient that you need on a Warframe that is going to do a lot of damage. Critical damage, you have viral, and you're going to be having a lot of critical chance if you pick the right weapon. Rakhali's Cavalry is her 4th ability and the one that we're going to be changing out. Now, this summons phantom keys that run in a certain direction. They have a defense reduction on doomed enemies per Keith, keep that in mind. Mine is at, I think, 98%, but as I said, this ability is going somewhere into the abyss because we're going to put a helmet ability here, and this ability also does really good amounts of viral damage. Now, there's a lot of her abilities are incredibly good. So her first 3 abilities I wouldn't change out for nothing. But Rakhali's Cavalry is a good ability, but we can make this Warframe better with only one thing. And that one thing is going to be the ability Lycan's Hunt. Yes, from our beautiful Varuna Warframe. What does Lycan's Hunt actually do? Now, Lycan's Hunt is an ability that is going to give you, if you kill an enemy with a melee weapon, chance of dropping a health orb, and if you headshot the enemies, you're going to be dropping energy orbs. Now, it is a 50% chance, but you're going to be killing so many enemies that it honestly doesn't even matter. But keep this in mind. If you pair this with a good melee weapon, a good primer, you can make this ability basically last forever, because if you kill an enemy that is affected by 5 or more status effects, this ability will increase its duration by 7.75 seconds, at least in my case. Now, we have replaced the 4th ability. We have basically done everything, and we have infinite amounts of energy, we have infinite amounts of health, and I can hear my neighbor banging a barrel for some odd reason, so if you hear it, I do apologize, because he has been doing that for the past about 5 minutes. Nonetheless, what weapons are we going to be using? Now, because we want to take advantage of Lycan's Hunt to the best possible way, we're not going to be using any AoE weapons. This is because if we do, the chances of us actually killing and headshotting enemies is quite difficult. So, Epitaph is the secondary of choice. This is the build that I use on my Epitaph. A lot of people actually don't like this build. I honestly don't find that bad of a thing on it, because my Warframe has viral. Also, my Dagath is going to give me another cool buff, and we have an interesting one here. That's why I'm going to show the Dagath in just a second. And basically, you just want to apply as many status effects as possible for your melee weapon. The melee weapon of choice that we want to talk about is the Dual Keris Prime. The Dorklave, her signature weapon, is incredibly good as well, and it can heal you as well, but we do not need it, and I still need to do further testing. That's why I chose the Dual Keris Prime. The Dual Cronin Prime is incredibly good as well. Honestly, almost any high tier weapon like the Nakana Prime as well is incredibly good, so definitely get the chance to pick that up. But let's move on to the Dagath of choice. Now, we can use a Smita Dagath, but that is pretty boring, so we don't want to do that. We are going to use the Adarza Dagath. Now, the only thing that we're missing is critical chance. We can use a Smita Dagath for this, but the Adarza Dagath has the Cat's Eye that grants you 60% increased critical chance for 10 seconds to allies within 25 meters every 20 seconds. Now, I have been trying to get to the new mods, and I need to gain a little bit standing, but I know there is 1 or 2 new mods. I will try to leave them up on the screen if I find a PNG somewhere, and these will reduce the abilities cooldown on your Dagath and or of course other pets. That is incredibly good. Also, Tech Enhance is again going to increase the duration by 30%, so that is very good. And also, Hunter Synergy, Tech Assault, Animal Instinct Reflect, Loyal Companion, Link Vitality, and Fetch. Now, another good ability, as I said, is Loyal Companion. When your health falls below 35%, you gain an additional 75% damage reduction for 10 seconds while your companion becomes invincible and draws fire to itself for 10 seconds and has a 60-second cooldown. This has honestly saved me a couple times with Dagath. I do have to say 75% damage reduction is not something that you can scoff at, so that is definitely a good thing to have. As I said, if I do find the mods, I will leave them up on the screen. Now, Shards wise, what do we need? I have basically 10% power strength, 37.5 casting, additional shields, and another 2 for casting speed. Now, casting speed is very important with this Warframe. I have tried to use it without so many casting shards, but it seems to be so slow. So I personally chose these. If you want more power strength, even though I honestly think you don't need to, because we're I think at 243%, you can put it on there. If you don't want shields, you can put on health, because I do sometimes utilize a secondary sort of not fully tested out build with shield gating, but I prefer using this build, and I definitely recommend this build. But I think that is enough dilly-dallying, and you all want to see what is this guy on about. And here we go. This is the build of choice. Growing power and prime continuity, augur reach, rolling guard for when we have that 25-second cooldown to get an additional invincibility phase. And we have blind rage. Equilibrium is a definite must because of Lycan's hunt of her passive as well. You want to have equilibrium on here. That is going to be incredibly good. Umbral intensify, stretch, prime flow, arcane energize, arcane blessing. Now, Arcane Blessing can be definitely changed out for multi augmented if you want to. I love that you gain additional health, and that is extremely beneficial for me. It may be deteriorating for you, so change that out. Arcane Energize is, I think, not as needed on this build. It is just my go-to arcane to put on here. I could technically put Arcane Blessing, or you could even maybe multi augmented, which would be very good. And it would probably make the Warframe at least around, let's say, 10% more efficient with damage, but as I said, I honestly think you do not need it. Dagath is an amazing Warframe. All you need to do is just keep your brain at least 5% active and you will not die. Get yourself a good melee weapon. You can use a primary, don't get me wrong here. You can definitely use a primary because you have the means of surviving. If you really want to, you can use shield gating 2.0 to survive even more. And actually, because she is a casting frame, Brief Respite is going to be an amazing thing to put on her. I did put an Aura Former, which I will recommend you do, so put that on there and you are pretty much set. If you want to use shield gating, use that. Just put Brief Respite basically in there, and that's sort of all you need to really change. You could put catalyzing shields as well for shield gating 1.0, I guess the previous version, but this Warframe is incredibly easy to play Steel Path with. You don't have to worry about anything. You can just play casually. As I said, 5% brain activity is not that hard to achieve. Even I do it sometimes, even though it's pretty rare, but I love this Warframe. The fourth ability, I think, does need to get changed a little bit. It's a little bit buggy sometimes as well. I don't like the movement of it. I don't like the ability in general. I think that Lycan's Hunt is definitely a much better ability. Gloom is a good option, but it's incredibly boring, and we don't want to be boring. Nonetheless, I have been boring, apparently, for 12 minutes, and I hope you guys enjoyed the build video. If you guys did, do leave a like, a comment, and do subscribe for more content. I actually try to make the best content as possible. It's just, I mumble my words apparently sometimes. I love all of you guys, and I will see you guys on the next one. Comment down below on what you think of Dagath as well. It's been the Gaming Weasel, over and out.